I always thought turning 18 would mean freedom. I was wrong. I tightened my grip around the chipped mug, the cold tea long forgotten. Outside the cracked window, the city lights shimmered like 1,000 promises I could never touch. For other girls, 18 was the start of life. For me, it was a sentence. Aurora. My mother's sharp voice sliced through my thoughts. Stop standing there like a fool. Sit. I didn't move at first. My feet felt nailed to the floor. But I forced myself to obey, crossing the room to the table where the papers lay. Legal papers. Contracts. My future, written in ink I never agreed to. You should be grateful, my mother said, smoothing her scarf like she was someone important. Most girls would kill for this opportunity. Kill for what? I wanted to ask, but I already knew the answer. I sat, my hands clenched in my lap. My father didn't bother with small talk. Cale Draven, he said, as if that explained everything. He's agreed to pay off all our debts. All you have to do is behave. Behave. Obey. Smile. Submit. The same words I'd heard since I was old enough to understand I wasn't wanted. Why me? My voice came out quieter than I intended. Because you're 18. Because your sisters are already married. And because you are the only valuable thing left. I flinched, but I didn't argue. What was the point? Cale Draven owns Draven Enterprises, my mother went on, like she was reciting a fairy tale. Hotels, technology, real estate, he's wealthier than royalty. And, what else? I asked, frowning. They exchanged a quick glance. My mother hesitated. That's none of your concern. Of course not. My concerns had never mattered. The driver will arrive tomorrow at 8 sharp, my father continued. You will go quietly. No scenes. No tears. And if I don't? I whispered. His gaze turned to ice. Then your little brother loses his school placement. We lose this apartment. You'll be on the streets before nightfall. Is that what you want? No. That wasn't what I wanted. But what I wanted had never changed anything. Without another word, I rose from the table and walked to the bedroom I shared with my brother. He was asleep, his small hand tucked under his cheek, his breath soft and even. He had no idea the choice I was making for him. I knelt beside his bed and brushed his hair back gently. For you, I whispered. I'll do this for you. But deep down, I made another promise. The moment I get a chance, I'll find my freedom. Even if I have to fight for it. The morning arrived much faster than I hoped. By 7:30, I was dressed in the plain white blouse and dark jeans my mother had laid out for me, clothes that didn't belong to me but were meant to make me look presentable. I didn't bother arguing. What was the point? The black Rolls-Royce arrived exactly at 8. The driver didn't even get out. He simply honked once. A low, sharp sound that felt like a final warning. I kissed my little brother's forehead gently. He was still asleep. He wouldn't even know I was gone until later. Maybe that was for the best. My parents didn't say goodbye. My father held the apartment door open without a word, and my mother simply crossed her arms. Their eyes were cold, distant. Transaction complete. I stepped into the hallway without looking back. The elevator ride down felt like a freefall. When the doors slid open, the Rolls-Royce's back door was already open for me. A man sat inside. Sharp suit. Dark sunglasses. No smile. Miss Vale, he said. Please. We have a long drive. I slid in silently. The door shut behind me with a soft click, and just like that, my life as I knew it was over. We drove for what felt like hours. The city fell away, replaced by winding roads lined with trees and sprawling estates hidden behind tall gates. Money. Power. Secrets. Finally, the car slowed. Ahead of us stood the largest, most intimidating mansion I'd ever seen. Iron gates stretched skyward, black and silver, guarded by tall men in dark suits. Beyond the gates, the mansion rose like a modern castle, glass, stone, steel, and shadows. The driver spoke quietly. Draven Estate. The gates groaned open. As we rolled forward, the weight in my chest tightened. Not fear exactly. Something heavier. Like standing at the edge of a storm. The car curved around a circular driveway and stopped at the main entrance. A man in a slate-gray suit opened my door. His expression was unreadable. "Miss Vale," he greeted. "Welcome. My name is Elias. I'll be assisting you." I stepped out slowly, my breath catching as I looked up at the mansion's tall, arched windows. Behind them, the curtains were drawn tight. Someone could be watching me right now, and I wouldn't even know. Elias gestured toward the grand entrance. "The master is waiting." Master. I swallowed hard. The word felt wrong in my ears. I wasn't property. Not anymore. Not ever. But I followed him. The foyer was massive. Marble floors. A crystal chandelier bigger than my old bedroom. Staircases swept upward on both sides. Art lined the walls, bold and moody, all shadows and fire. But the most striking thing was how silent it was. Not cold, exactly, but expectant. Elias led me down a long hallway. My footsteps echoed against the marble. At the end of the hall, tall double doors stood closed. "He's inside," Elias said softly. My pulse roared in my ears. "You may enter," he added, giving the slightest bow before turning and leaving me alone. I stared at the doors. My palms were damp. My heart was trying to escape my chest. But I wasn't a little girl anymore. I couldn't afford to be. I pushed the doors open. The room was a study, though study didn't do it justice. Bookshelves stretched from floor to ceiling, filled with leather-bound volumes. A fire crackled in the enormous stone hearth. The curtains were open here, spilling pale daylight across the dark. Hardwood floors. And standing by the window, back to me, was a man. Tall. Broad-shouldered. His black suit fit him like it had been made for his body alone. His hair was dark, almost black, and just long enough to brush his collar. My breath caught. He didn't turn right away. Aurora Vale. The way he said my name, it wasn't a question. It was a statement. A claiming. Yes, I managed, though my voice came out small. He turned slowly. And for a moment, I forgot how to breathe. Cale Draven was young. No older than his late 20s. His face was sharply cut, high cheekbones, strong jaw, lips that looked like they'd never smiled. But it was his eyes that struck me. Silver. Pale and glowing even in daylight. They were impossible. Beautiful. Dangerous. "You're younger than I expected," he said. "So are you." His lips twitched, not quite a smile. Most people wouldn't say that to me. I'm not most people. Good. He took a slow step toward me. I didn't pay for a porcelain doll. I wanted someone with a spine. I stiffened. You didn't pay for me. You paid off my family's debt. There's a difference. His silver eyes darkened. Semantics. He stopped just a few feet away. Close enough for me to smell the faint, clean scent of his cologne. Like winter and cedarwood. "I won't force you into anything you don't agree to," he said quietly. "Not now. Not ever." I blinked, thrown off. "But," he continued, "if you stay, you'll follow my rules." "What rules?" "You'll learn them." His gaze burned into mine. Break them, and the consequences will be yours to bear. And if I choose to leave? A pause. Then, softer, then I'll settle your family's debt another way, and you'll never see me again. I swallowed. Cale Draven was not the monster I'd imagined. But I could feel it, beneath the calm, beneath the cold, something else. Something wild. Waiting. Do you accept? He asked. My mind screamed at me to say no. But my heart was already moving toward him. I accept. I didn't know what I expected after saying yes. A kiss? A handshake? Some kind of formal contract. Instead, Cale Draven simply nodded once, sharp and decisive, then turned back to the window as if sealing my fate required no ceremony at all. Elias will show you to your room, he said, his voice steady but quieter now. You'll rest today. Tomorrow, we'll discuss expectations. Expectations, I repeated, trying to keep the edge out of my voice. Not rules. At that, Cale glanced back at me. The faintest flicker of amusement touched his lips. You learn quickly. My stomach tightened. I wasn't sure if that was a compliment or a warning. Before I could say anything more, the doors opened behind me. Elias stood waiting, as silent as ever. Cale's eyes lingered on me for a breath longer. We'll speak tomorrow. That was clearly a dismissal. I followed Elias out, my legs oddly shaky. Not from fear. From uncertainty. The halls of Draven Estate were a maze. Everything gleamed, marble floors, polished wood, gilded doorways. But the deeper we went, the less light there was. Curtains drawn. Lamps casting long, dramatic shadows. Elias led me up a curved staircase and down a quieter corridor until we stopped at a wide wooden door carved with silver vines. This will be your room, he said. I stepped inside. My breath caught. The room was larger than my entire apartment back home. Cream-colored walls. Tall windows covered in sheer curtains. A four-poster bed with velvet sheets in dark emerald green. A vanity. A sitting area. Even a small balcony overlooking the gardens below. This was prepared for you, Elias added. If you need anything, ring the bell by the door. I nodded slowly, still trying to take it all in. As he turned to leave, I found my voice. Elias? He paused. Yes, Miss Vale. How long have you worked for Cale? A long time. And the rules? Are they serious? His expression didn't change, but his eyes darkened slightly. They are absolute. Then he closed the door behind him. I spent the rest of the afternoon exploring the room. The closet was full of clothes in my size. Soft dresses. Jeans. Even nightgowns. All new. All expensive. On the vanity was a small box. Inside, a phone. No passcode. Just one contact. Elias. It was thoughtful, but it also reminded me how isolated I was. As the sun set, hunger stirred in my stomach. I hadn't eaten since yesterday. Just as I was wondering what to do, there was a knock at the door. A woman entered, older than Elias, dressed in a crisp navy uniform. She pushed a silver cart with trays of food. Good evening, Miss Vale, she greeted. I'm Miriam. Dinner has been prepared. I hesitated. Am I expected to dine with Mr. Draven? No. She smiled gently. He asked that you rest. He dines alone. Of course he does. The food smelled incredible. Roasted chicken, buttered potatoes, and something rich and chocolatey for dessert. I ate quietly, listening to the ticking clock on the mantelpiece. The mansion was too quiet. No laughter. No music. Just the occasional creak of the old house settling into the night. I was brushing my hair by the vanity when I heard it. Thud. 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 Heavy footsteps above my ceiling. Too heavy to be human. My breath froze. I glanced at the balcony. The garden below was cloaked in darkness. The moon, bright and full, cast silver light over the trees. Nothing moved outside. Thud. Thud. The noise came again. This time from the hallway. I slipped quietly to the door and pressed my ear against it. The footsteps faded. Then, a low, guttural growl. Not human. My blood went cold. I should have locked the door. But my hand hesitated at the lock. Then I remembered Elias's words. The rules are absolute. I didn't know the rules yet. But one seemed obvious. Don't open the door. So I didn't. I backed away, climbed into the enormous bed. And pulled the heavy covers to my chin. The growl faded. The footsteps moved farther down the hall. Silence returned. But I didn't sleep. Not for a long time. I must have drifted off sometime before dawn. When I woke, sunlight streamed softly through the sheer curtains, warming the edges of the bed. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then the night's growl echoed in my mind. It wasn't human. The thought alone sent a chill across my skin. After dressing in a pale blue sundress I found in the closet, I stepped out into the hallway. The mansion seemed different in daylight. Warmer. Less haunted. But I noticed something immediately. The floor outside my door had been polished. Spotless. No trace of heavy footsteps. No claw marks. No proof that anything had been out there at all. Had I imagined it? At the bottom of the stairs, Elias waited. Good morning, Miss Vale. Morning, I replied, my voice still groggy. Can I ask? Mr. Draven requests your company in the East Study. So much for small talk. I followed Elias down a different corridor this time, toward a sunlit room with glass walls that overlooked a garden. In the center stood a long table scattered with blueprints and documents. Cale stood at the far end, sleeves rolled to his elbows, silver cufflinks glinting in the morning light. He was staring down at the papers but turned as soon as I entered. His eyes, those impossible silver eyes, settled on me like he'd known the exact moment I arrived. You're awake, he said. I nodded, suddenly nervous. He gestured to a chair opposite him. Sit. I obeyed. Today, Cale said, we'll cover expectations. Rules. I folded my hands tightly in my lap. Last night. His brow lifted. Yes. I heard something. In the hall. His face didn't change. A beast, I added quietly. A growl. For a long moment, he didn't speak. Then he leaned forward, his gaze sharpening. That brings us to rule number 1. My heart skipped. You are never to leave your room after midnight. No matter what you hear. I swallowed. Why? He leaned back, steepling his fingers. Because this house is old. It holds secrets. Some are dangerous. And some are mine to carry. My pulse quickened. Are you saying? I'm saying you'll be safest if you obey. That wasn't an answer. Not really. But something told me pressing him would only lead to walls going up between us. Fine, I said. His lips twitched slightly. Good. You're quick to adapt. That's rare. I've had to be. His expression softened. Just slightly. You'll learn the rest of the rules in time. For now, your safety is my priority. Not just from what's inside this house, but from those outside it as well. Outside? Cale hesitated. There are people who would use you to get to me. You must trust my staff and no one else. I nodded, though a knot of questions tangled in my chest. Who exactly wanted to harm him? And why did I feel like I just agreed to much more than I understood? That night, I kept to my room. I even locked the door this time. But sleep was impossible. Around midnight, the noises started again. Heavy footsteps. A low growl. Closer this time. Right outside my door. My breath caught. Don't open the door. The first rule echoed in my mind. But curiosity burned hotter than fear. Carefully, I crossed the room to the balcony doors and slipped outside. The garden below was bathed in moonlight. Silver and shadow danced across the trimmed hedges and dark rose bushes. Then I saw it. A figure moving between the trees. Large. Four-legged. Muscles rippling beneath dark fur that shimmered like obsidian. Its eyes glowed faint silver in the moonlight. It paused at the fountain, lifting its head. As if sensing me. My heart raced. My palms went clammy against the balcony railing. The creature wasn't just big. It was unnatural. A shadow wolf. I couldn't breathe. Then, impossibly, the wolf's silver eyes locked onto mine. They weren't wild or mindless. They were intelligent. They were Kale's eyes. My knees almost buckled. The creature took a step toward the balcony. The marble cracked beneath its massive paws. I stumbled back into my room, slamming the balcony doors shut and pulling the curtains tight. My pulse roared in my ears. Kale Draven wasn't human. At least, not entirely. And now I finally understood the real reason behind the first rule. I didn't sleep after what I saw. I couldn't. The silver eyes haunted me every time I closed mine. Kale's eyes. But not human. Not even close. By morning, exhaustion pulled at my bones, but fear kept me sharp. I dressed quickly, pulling on a soft cream sweater and jeans from the closet. Simple. Comfortable. Ready to move, or run, if I had to. I didn't know what my next move should be. But hiding wasn't an option. Not anymore. Elias appeared as if he'd been waiting. Mr. Draven has requested your presence in the East Garden, he said calmly, like everything was normal. Like I hadn't just watched my husband prowl the grounds as a beast. I followed him through the winding hallways, heart pounding faster with each step. The mansion felt different in daylight. Less like a prison. More like a stage. And today, it seemed the curtains were about to be drawn back. The East Garden was breathtaking. Tall hedges formed a living wall around a stone terrace. Roses in deep reds and soft pinks lined the pathways. The air smelled like rain and something darker, damp earth and pine. Kale stood near a marble fountain, hands tucked into the pockets of his dark slacks. His shirt sleeves were rolled up again. His silver eyes found me the second I stepped outside. And in the sunlight, they looked almost human. Almost. You saw me last night, he said quietly. No preamble. No pretending. I stopped several feet away, my arms crossed tightly over my chest. Yes. Neither of us spoke for a moment. Then he sighed, shoulders dropping the way a man might before delivering bad news. I was going to tell you. Eventually. I lifted my chin. I think now counts as eventually. A shadow of a smile touched his lips. You have a fire in you. I wondered if the rumors were true. Rumors? He ignored the question. The creature you saw, the shadow wolf, that's me. Or rather, the curse I was born with. My stomach tightened, but I kept my gaze steady. Why? Kale turned away, pacing to the fountain's edge. Generations ago, my family made a deal. Power in exchange for loyalty to something ancient. Dark magic that we thought we could control. And you couldn't. No one can. His jaw tightened. Every firstborn Draven son carries the curse. By day, we control it. By night, it takes us. I swallowed hard. But you seemed aware. You saw me. Yes. His silver eyes darkened. That's what makes my case worse. I don't lose my mind when I change. I remember everything. That hit me like a blow. Every night. He wasn't just turning into a monster. He was trapped inside it. You must think I'm insane, he said quietly. I shook my head before I could stop myself. No. But I think you should have told me. Kale stepped closer. His movements were careful. Controlled. That's why the first rule exists. Why the doors lock. Why the staff avoids the west wing at night. His voice dropped to a rough whisper. To protect you from me. And to protect me from making a mistake I could never undo. His meaning was clear. If he hurt me while transformed, it would destroy him more than the curse itself. For a long moment, I couldn't speak. I thought of all the things my family had said about Kale before I met him. The rumors. The warnings. None of them told this story. None of them told his story. You've never heard anyone, have you? I asked softly. Kale's expression hardened. No. Not yet. I exhaled slowly, the fear in my chest easing just slightly. Then tell me the rest. No more secrets. His eyes searched mine for a long moment. Then he nodded. There's a prophecy tied to the curse, he said. It can only be broken when the firstborn finds someone willing to accept both the man and the beast. Willingly. Completely. Without fear. I already knew where this was going. My throat tightened. You think I'm that person, I whispered. Not think. He stepped even closer. I know. The breeze stirred between us. His cologne wrapped around me, crisp, clean, but beneath it, something wilder. Something primal. I didn't choose you because of your family's debts, Aurora. That was just an excuse to bring you here without raising questions. My breath caught. Then why? His silver eyes burned into mine. Because from the moment I first saw you, that day at the charity gala 2 years ago, I knew. You were different. You didn't look at me with fear or greed. You looked like someone waiting for a reason to fight back against the world. My head spun. I never went to any gala. You were. Delivering food for a catering company, Kale said softly. You didn't know who I was. But I remembered you. A flush crept up my neck. Memories stirred. A winter night. A brief encounter with a tall, dark-haired man who'd held the door open for me when my arms were full. I'd forgotten. Or maybe I'd made myself forget. And when my family began arranging marriages to pay their debts, he continued, I made sure your name was the only one they would consider. My knees felt weak. This was never about owning you, Kale said, voice rough with something raw. It was about giving you the choice. The choice my family's curse never gave me. Silence stretched between us. You want the truth? He asked. I nodded, though my voice had long since fled. The moment you tell me to stop this, to end it, I will. Even if it damns me forever. My heart pounded wildly. For the first time, I wasn't afraid of him. I was afraid of the feelings blooming in my chest. Hope. Longing. Something dangerously close to trust. I'm not leaving, I whispered. Not yet. Relief softened his features for just a second. Then he straightened, control returning to his posture like armor. Then we'll face this together. The days that followed felt different. I wasn't just a stranger in a mansion anymore. Every morning, Cale met me in the East Garden. Sometimes we walked the paths together. Sometimes he showed me his library, books about ancient lore, family history, architecture. Once, he even asked me what I wanted to learn. No one had ever asked me that before. The nights, however, remained the same. His door would close. The locks would turn. And somewhere beyond the hallways, the beast would roam. But I kept the first rule. No matter what I heard, I never left my room. Not once. On the fourth morning, Elias appeared at my door earlier than usual. He didn't knock. He opened it swiftly, face pale, eyes sharp. "Miss Vale," he said urgently, "you must come with me. Now." My heart slammed into my ribs. "What's wrong?" "Your family. They're here. At the gates." My family. The words alone turned my blood cold. I followed Elias down the stairs, past the grand entrance, to the security room where the camera feeds glowed across multiple screens. The main gate. A silver SUV parked crookedly at the curb. Standing outside it, my mother, my father, and Krista. I swallowed hard. Krista's arms were crossed, sunglasses perched on her head like a crown. She wore designer clothes, the kind my family should never have been able to afford. "What do they want?" I asked, though I already knew. "They're demanding to speak with you," Elias said. "Demanding?" "Threatening," he corrected. "They told the guards that if you don't come out, they'll contact the press and claim you've been kidnapped." I clenched my jaw. "They want more money," Cale's voice came from behind me. I turned. He stood in the doorway, dressed in a dark gray suit that seemed to absorb the shadows. His silver eyes were unreadable. "They're gambling on fear," he added. "They think if they make enough noise, I'll pay them off again. And if you don't, they'll destroy your name. My name. This family." His voice hardened. "But they don't realize the storm they've stepped into." I took a breath. My hands shook slightly, but I tightened them into fists. "I'll speak to them." Cale's eyes narrowed. "No. They won't leave unless I do. Aurora. I need to face them. My way." I met his gaze steadily. "This is my choice." His lips parted like he was going to argue, but he stopped. Finally, he nodded once. "I'll be at your side. At the gates." The security guards opened the smaller side entrance just enough for me to step out. Cale stayed half a step behind me, tall and silent as stone. My mother's face twisted into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "There she is. Our sweet girl." I stopped several feet away. "What do you want?" Krista scoffed. "What do you think? We're family. We need help." "You've had all the help you'll ever get," I said firmly. My father's jaw tightened. "Don't be foolish. We're drowning here. You sold me to cover your debts." My voice didn't shake. "And now you think you can keep coming back for more. But I'm not your pawn anymore. You owe us," my mother snapped. "If not for us, you wouldn't be living like a queen. I'm living like a prisoner." I shot back. "A prisoner who chose this cage instead of the one you built for me." Krista stepped forward, her perfectly manicured hand lifting as if to grab my arm. "Listen, brat." Before she could touch me, Cale's hand moved. In an instant, he caught Krista's wrist, twisting it back just enough to make her yelp. "You will not touch her," Cale said, voice low and dangerous. My family froze. For the first time, true fear flashed in their eyes. Krista's boyfriend, some new fool, opened the SUV door. "Let's go. This isn't worth it." My father tried one last time. "If you don't pay us, we'll ruin your reputation. The press will listen." Kale's silver eyes gleamed coldly. Try. My mother narrowed her eyes. You can't stop the media. I don't need to, Kale replied. I own it. Silence fell like a blade. My family realized, far too late, that the man they thought they could manipulate had power far beyond what they understood. Krista jerked her wrist free and stormed toward the SUV. My mother followed, but not before hissing, "You'll regret this, Aurora." I met her glare calmly. No. For the first time in my life, I won't. They drove away in a spray of gravel. As the gates shut behind them, I felt my knees weaken. Kale caught me gently. Easy. I didn't think they'd actually leave, I admitted, breathless. You made them. His thumb brushed the back of my hand. You stood up to them. For once. For always, he corrected. His eyes softened, but beneath the tenderness, something darker stirred. A tension I'd seen growing every day since the night I first glimpsed his wolf form. You've protected me, I said quietly. Now it's my turn to protect you. Kale's lips curved slightly. Brave girl. But I could see it. Behind his calm mask, the curse was growing restless. And soon, the real danger wouldn't come from the outside world. It would come from within these walls. For 3 nights after my family left, the mansion was quiet. Too quiet. No growls outside my door. No heavy footsteps. No silver eyes watching from the shadows. It should have comforted me. It didn't. Because silence in a house like this meant only one thing. The storm was gathering. I was brushing my hair by the window when the knock came. Soft. 2 taps. Elias? I called. The door opened a crack. His face was serious. His usual calm had cracked at the edges. Miss Vale, he said. The master wishes to see you. Now. In the north wing. The north wing. I hadn't even known the mansion had one. The doors were always locked. Untouched. Forbidden. I slipped into soft flats and followed him, my pulse already racing. As we walked deeper into the mansion, I noticed the difference. The walls were darker here. Older portraits lined the corridors, past draven heirs, stern and shadowed. Every step felt heavier. Finally, Elias stopped in front of a blackwood door carved with silver symbols I didn't recognize. He opened it without knocking. The room inside was a vast library. Older than any space I'd seen so far. Kale stood at the far side, staring at a tall mirror framed in wrought iron. But what reflected back wasn't just him. It was the wolf. Its silver eyes glowed over his shoulder like a shadow tied to his soul. You've come, Kale said without turning. I stepped in cautiously. You asked for me. I didn't want to. But Elias convinced me. His shoulders rose and fell with a sigh. You need to understand what's coming. He turned then. His silver eyes were weary. Dark circles bruised the skin beneath them. He hadn't slept. The curse is changing, he said quietly. What you saw before, was the beginning. I frowned. I don't understand. It's no longer only at night. Soon, it will break through during the day. Any strong emotion could trigger it. Anger. Fear. Desire. His gaze sharpened meaningfully at that last word. You need to stay away from me. No. His eyes flashed. Aurora. I said no. I crossed the space between us, stopping only inches away. I've followed your rules. I've stayed behind locked doors. But I won't run from you. His jaw tightened. You may not get a choice. I lifted a hand, fingers trembling as I touched his chest. Beneath the soft fabric of his shirt, his heartbeat thundered. You think I'm afraid of your curse? I'm not. My voice dropped to a whisper. I'm afraid of losing you. For a moment, his armor cracked. His eyes closed. His forehead rested against mine. You deserve better, he rasped. I decide what I deserve. His breath hitched. I could feel the tension in him. The wolf pressing just beneath the surface. I want to kiss you, he admitted roughly. But if I do, I might not stop. I smiled faintly. Then don't stop. Aurora. The mirror behind us cracked sharply. Cale jerked back. His silver eyes had begun to glow, not faintly. Bright. Almost blinding. The wolf is already here, he said, voice ragged. You have to go. Elias appeared at the door like a ghost. But I didn't move. Then tell me how to help, I demanded. There must be something. The final phase of the curse can only be broken one way, Elias said quietly. Cale's shoulders stiffened. He closed his eyes. Someone who loves me must choose me. Not out of duty. Not out of fear. Out of desire. Willingly. Entirely. Even when I become something no human could love. My breath froze in my lungs. You already know my choice, I whispered. Cale shook his head. It's not time yet. And if I lose control before the bond is complete? The mirror shattered. Glass rained to the floor. Cale grabbed my arms, hands trembling with the effort to stay human. Stay away from the north wing after today. Promise me. I nodded, though my instincts screamed to do the opposite. Good girl, he murmured. But as I left, I caught the look in Elias's eyes. It wasn't just fear. It was urgency. The curse wasn't waiting. It was coming. Fast. By the next morning, I could feel it. Something had shifted. The staff moved faster. The security guards doubled. The once quiet mansion buzzed like a beehive before a storm. Cale was nowhere to be found. When I asked Elias where he was, he simply said, preparing. For what, he wouldn't say. That afternoon, as I sat in the east garden trying to calm my thoughts, a shadow fell across the table. It wasn't Cale. A man I didn't recognize stood at the edge of the hedge maze. Tall. Blonde. Impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit. His smile didn't reach his pale blue eyes. Miss Vale, he greeted smoothly. The hairs on the back of my neck rose. I'm afraid you're trespassing, I said. He chuckled. Your security is impressive, but not flawless. I wanted to speak privately. I stood, ready to shout for Elias or the guards. But then he said, it's about your brother. My blood went cold. He smiled wider. Ah. I thought that might interest you. Before I could reply, he held up his hands. I mean no harm. I'm here to offer help. My name is Victor Cade. I froze. Victor Cade. The rival billionaire. Cale's greatest enemy. You've been manipulated, he continued. Cale Draven isn't what he claims. His curse will consume him soon, and you along with him. If you want out, I can make it happen. How did you even get in here? I demanded, voice sharp. He smiled. Money opens all doors. Even Draven's. The casual way he said it made me sick. What do you want? Victor's eyes gleamed. Simple. Leave Cale. Come with me. I'll ensure your brother's safety. I'll erase your family's debts. And most importantly, he leaned in. You won't die when Draven loses control. I didn't hesitate. No. Victor blinked, clearly not expecting that answer. No. I won't betray him. His smile faded into something colder. Loyalty is charming, but foolish. You'll regret this. I'll take my chances. His eyes narrowed. You may not get another chance. Footsteps sounded behind me. Cale. He emerged from the archway, silver eyes burning with fury. His presence was a storm barely restrained. Victor straightened, smoothing his suit like he hadn't just threatened me. Draven. Cale's voice was low and dangerous. You have 5 seconds to leave my property. Victor's smile returned, but this time it held a sharp edge. Soon, you won't be able to stop me. She'll see the truth for herself. He turned, disappearing down the path without another word. Cale didn't speak. He just watched him go, every muscle tight with tension. When Victor's figure vanished beyond the gates, Cale finally looked at me. Are you hurt? No. His jaw tightened. If he speaks to you again. I already said no. Cale's eyes softened just a fraction. Good girl. But behind his relief, I saw something else. Fear. Not for himself. For me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stood at my balcony, staring at the moonlit gardens. What does Victor mean about seeing the truth for myself? The shadows shifted below. A familiar figure moved between the hedges. The beast. But this time, it didn't prowl. It paused. Lifted its head. And in its jaws, it held a single black rose. It dropped the rose at the base of the balcony, staring up at me with those impossible silver eyes. Cale's eyes. A message. A warning. Or maybe, a promise. The black rose remained at the base of my balcony the next morning. I could still smell its bittersweet scent even as the staff cleaned the garden. Cale didn't mention it. Neither did I. But we both knew what it meant. Time was running out. That evening, Cale hosted a gathering. Not a party. A strategic move. He invited key allies, corporate partners, political contacts, and old family friends. People with enough power and influence to protect his legacy if his enemies made a move. Elias explained it quietly while helping me prepare. You'll stand beside him, he said as he adjusted the silver clasp at my shoulder. The curse makes him vulnerable. But the right people must see that he's still in control. Still respected. I nodded, though my heart thundered in my chest. What happens if he? Elias paused. Then we pray. The ballroom was dazzling. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above. Velvet drapes framed towering windows. The marble floor reflected the soft golden glow of 100 candles. Cale stood at the far end, tall and composed in a black tailored suit. A silver pin shaped like a wolf's head gleamed at his collar. When our eyes met, the noise around me faded. Everyone else disappeared. We were a team. We had to be. He held out his hand. I crossed the room and placed mine in his without hesitation. Stay close, he whispered. I wasn't planning to leave. For the first hour, everything went smoothly. Guests mingled. Wine flowed. Polite laughter echoed against the vaulted ceilings. Cale answered questions with his usual calm. I stood silently by his side, offering the presence of unity he'd asked for. But beneath his perfect mask, I could feel it. His hand trembled once against mine. His breath quickened whenever the conversations became too tense. The wolf was close. It happened during a toast. An older business partner, Mr. Harrow, raised his glass. To the Dravens, he declared. May their reign continue for generations. The crowd applauded. And then someone at the back of the room chuckled darkly. Let's hope their secrets don't end that reign first. Silence rippled outward like a shockwave. Victor Cade. He'd entered without an invitation. His icy smile made my stomach drop. Cale's fingers tightened around mine. His silver eyes burned, and for a terrifying moment, I saw them glow. Not faintly. Not subtly. Bright. Like moonlight trapped beneath the surface. Victor continued, calm as ever. I only came to wish you well, Draven. After all, no curse can be hidden forever. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Kale exhaled slowly, trying to suppress the beast clawing beneath his skin. But the damage was done. Guests turned. Eyes filled with suspicion. The wolf inside Kale surged forward. No. I grabbed both of his hands, forcing him to look at me. Kale, I whispered. Don't let him win. His breath hitched. His muscles rippled beneath his suit. Victor smirked. Ah. See? Even your bride fears you. I don't fear him. I shouted before I could stop myself. The entire room went silent. Kale's pupils contracted sharply. His chest rose and fell in quick, shallow breaths. He was losing the battle. I leaned up and pressed my lips to his cheek. You're stronger than this, I whispered. Stay with me. For a heartbeat, the glow in his eyes dimmed. The wolf retreated. Barely. Victor's smile faltered. I turned to him, anger rising like fire in my blood. Get out. Victor's eyes narrowed. This isn't over. He turned and stormed from the room. Kale sagged slightly against me. The room buzzed with frightened whispers. But I didn't care. All that mattered was that he was still Kale. Still human. For now. Later, alone in the study, Kale held my face in his hands. You saved me. I reminded you who you are. His brow pressed against mine. The next time I may not stop. Then we'll face it. Together. But even as I said it, fear curled tight in my chest. Because I could feel it. The breach had begun. The curse wasn't waiting for night anymore. And neither were Kale's enemies. That night, after Kale finally fell into an exhausted sleep, Elias appeared at my door. His face was pale. His shoulders tense. There's something you need to know. He handed me a phone. The screen showed a single message. We have your brother. Come alone or he dies. VK. My breath left my lungs in a painful rush. Victor had made his move. And I had no choice. I stared at the message until the words blurred. We have your brother. Come alone or he dies. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. But one thought rose above the panic. Victor won't wait. And if Kale finds out, he'll kill anyone in his way, even himself. Elias grabbed my wrist gently. Don't go alone. I have to. He'll sense your absence. That's why you have to help me. His brow furrowed. Aurora. I need an hour. Just enough time to get my brother. Then I'll come back. Before Kale notices. Elias hesitated, torn between loyalty and reason. Finally, he nodded. I'll disable the West Gate alarm. But if you're not back in 1 hour. Come after me. His jaw clenched. Yes, Miss Vale. 30 minutes later. The address Victor sent led to an abandoned estate on the edge of the city. Victor was waiting at the gates, arms crossed. His smile was pure poison. You actually came. Alone. Brave or stupid, I can't decide. Where's my brother? I demanded. He motioned toward the main house. Inside. Alive. For now. I stepped through the gates, my pulse racing. Let him go. Victor chuckled. Not yet. First, we make a deal. There's no deal. You let him go. I stay. His brows lifted. You trade yourself. I already have. He studied me for a long moment. I underestimated you. I didn't reply. My eyes darted toward the house. Then I felt it. A pulse in the air. The hairs on my arms stood on end. Kale. He knows. Victor felt it too. His eyes narrowed. A deep rumble echoed in the distance. Not thunder. Footsteps. Heavy. Rapid. The ground vibrated beneath my feet. Victor grabbed my arm roughly. You lied. The gates shuddered. Metal groaned. Beyond them, a figure appeared in the darkness. Massive. Shadowed. Eyes glowing silver like two full moons. The wolf. Kale wasn't human anymore. He wasn't even trying to hold the curse back. Victor swore and pulled me toward the house. Move. But it was too late. The gates exploded inward, ripped from their hinges as Kale barreled through. His black fur glistened. Muscles rippled under his monstrous frame. His jaws parted in a snarl, white teeth flashing. Aurora. Victor dragged me toward the doorway. Tell him to stop or he'll kill us all. But I couldn't speak. The beast's eyes weren't wild. They were locked on me. On Victor's hand crushing my wrist. Kale saw one thing. A threat to his mate. The beast charged. The earth shook. Victor shoved me aside, pulling a gun from his coat. I'll kill him before he kills me. I screamed. Kale. Stop. But the wolf didn't stop. He leapt. Victor fired.